morning. Welcome back to the farm and to fall. This morning, right about now, literally it is 8:43. It is now the official autumnal equinox. So we are now, summer is over. We can stop pretending that summer is not over because summer is over. So the worst of the gardening jobs are done. There's a wild turkey in the area and I just heard it. Or maybe it's a rooster, I'm not sure. But anyway, neither of those are my concern today. I should be turning compost and I really am not motivated to turn compost today. So I'm going to put that off for a couple of days. What I do want to work on today is this garden. Believe it or not, this is supposedly an intentionally planted garden, but it's just been kind of ignored for the past 8 to 10 years. And as you can see, everything, these are mostly those iris that we saw in the spring, but these are so crowded that they can't bloom. So what I want to do is I want to lift all of these iris and get a clean slate. I'll bring in compost, and I've got some garden soil left from doing the front garden. So I'm going to try and start rebuilding these beds. I will put some of these iris back in. I have a couple of other plants that I'd like to either put in here or move in here and make kind of a decorative landscaped area here. Maybe it's my chickens, I don't know. But so the first things I need to do, there's a bunch of sticks that have fallen off the pine tree, so I need to clean those out. And I think I can't see where the root balls are for all these bulbs. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pruners out of the shed and just cut all these back so that they just have like 3 or 4 inches of greens on the top. So I'll cut all those down, and then I'll be able to see better where those rhizomes are and get them lifted. It's going to be a big job. We'll see how much we get done today. So that's now all trimmed down and cleaned up, so it's a little easier to see what I'm working with. And of course now my hands are all covered with pine pitch, because obviously the pine tree is just dripping sap down onto the ground underneath, so everything's just a little sticky. And I'm trying to figure out best angles to come at this from. And really, I think a frontal assault, if I can get these out and then work side to side and then rake it all out, then I'll have, once again, a better sense of what I'm working with. I think there might be some kind of a little stone wall along here, so, but I can't see it for all the overgrowth. So let's work for another hour on digging this stuff out and then take a longer break. I'm taking a couple of sit-down breaks because A, I need to think about this, and B, I'm not used to bending over so much. All right, pitchfork. Alright, first harsh reality. This is not going to come up as easy as I'd hoped it would. I had, like everywhere else on the property, there's all kinds of rocks in here. And I don't know how many of them are intentional from previous owners and how much of it is just the soil. But more significantly, I'm finding out that this variety of iris does not grow the same way as German irises, which is what I had expected. German irises grow, I guess, if you haven't seen it before, it's kind of like a sweet potato maybe. It has a root, a long, thick, fleshy root that the leaves then come up out of. And these don't do that. They have a little bit of a rhizome with little roots coming off of it, but I had expected it to be much bigger and fatter. And instead, these just grow in a big thick mat, which is also very hard, even with the pitchfork, to get into. Now, I'm hoping that now that I've got a little bit broken up, it'll be easier to get some of the rest of it out. But then I've got to figure out, I was thinking I was just going to trim these down and dry them, rehydrate them in the spring and put them in the ground. But looking at this, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think it's going to have to go in the ground this year, which may just be taking clumps around the pond and just dropping it and tossing clumps into the lower pasture, because these will like having wetter feet. So it would be good to have some of that down there. But for now, I just have to get it out of the ground. So let's see how much more of this I can do. That's not going well. It's coming up, but the mat is so thick that it's very hard to get the shovel under it. Using the cutting edge shovels are working better than I was doing with the spading fork. But even so, it's just peeling it back inch by inch. And I can't pull it off because the roots on the other side are holding it in place. But when I try and go to the other side to cut through to break it loose, they won't cut. So, and now the sun's shining straight on it and I'm sweating. So I think I'm done at least for a little while. I'll come back out later this afternoon and try again. Alright, it's afternoon and I'm back outside with 2 equipment changes. Change 1, I changed my shoes. So I have something with a little more stomping power. And change 2, I pulled out my Japanese hoe, I guess it is. And this has a really sharp edge to it. So I'm hoping I can use this to pull underneath those roots, to cut those roots, and maybe peel this up better. I don't know how well it's going to work, but we'll give it a shot. Alright, 10 minutes of work and that did come up better. It may just be because I'm better rested. The Japanese weeding hoe worked a little bit better, or helped a little bit. Where it got really tight, then I could get in there and break it up a little bit and then go back in with the shovel. Really, the sharp pointed shovel is the one that's doing me the most good. Although the flathead shovel there is giving me good leverage. So once I can get under there, the flathead works better for prying. And I was right. There was, or is, a stone wall that used to be around the edge here. It's mostly gotten eaten by the landscape by now. So I'm not too worried about keeping it. And I'm going to use those stones in the new landscaping once I get the bulk of this dug. I still got a long way to go, and I'm not sure I'm going to take all of it up. I may leave that section there and this little section over here, but that still leaves me all of this that I need to take out. So I think I'm going to start working on that upper section next, and let's see how much of that I can get out. stuff is stubborn and it does not want to come up. And working at that slope wasn't helping either. And there's a big rock right where I'm trying to get in on this side that I can't get under to get it out of there. So I just cleaned up what I could, pulled some of the little stuff that wasn't gonna be useful for anything. And I think I'm just gonna call that for today, and I'm just gonna work on it in little bits and pieces over the next week or so. I may see if I can get Josh to get a shovel in too, because maybe he can have better luck than I do. But whew, Boise. So I think what I'm gonna do now, I've got those big piles of big clumps of the iris, and I think I'm going to split them into slightly smaller chunks and then throw them in the wagon, grab the mower, and I'm just going to putter around the edges of the pond and just chuck it into the brush, and either it'll take or it won't, and we'll see what happens with it. If it doesn't take, I've got this other whole garden over there that I am dreading having to do the same thing to next year. But that is not a this year project at all. I don't know, maybe I'll go at it with the weed whacker, but there's some peonies in there and I want to make sure I protect those. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. I'll get the shovels and stuff up on the porch. Those chickens are really loud. And I've got the garden watering because I don't think we're supposed to get any rain now until Tuesday or Wednesday. So, but I should take you up and show you the buckwheat is all coming up. The lettuce is all looking good. So, and this is hard to do one-handed. I picked my first watermelon. Isn't that pattern beautiful? I hope it's ripe. I don't know. I'm no good at judging, but the instructions I saw said that when the first curlicue above the stem has turned brown, then it's ready. And you know, they always say, oh, if you knock on it and it's hollow, it's ready. Well, I don't know. Does that sound hollow? Maybe. But it's got this yellow, this spot is yellow, which is also supposedly a sign of ripeness. So when I take it inside and cut it, I'll show you what the inside looks like. All right, let's get these rhizomes moved so I can get back on my couch. much chaos gardening. Just chuck it in and let it do what it's going to do. So I've got a few small bunches on that side of the pond and more a little closer on this side of the pond, but they're smaller. So hopefully they'll get rained in, watered in, and then wintered in, and in the spring they'll have enough oomph to take root and make a new life out here. I have some bits and bobs left in the wagon and some other rooted but like single plants still back up at the house. And what I think I'm going to do with those is I'm going to walk along the road and just chuck them into the lower pasture over the guardrail, just to try and see if I can get any color on that embankment. I don't expect much to happen there because in the winter the salt from the road washes down that slope. So I don't know how much will happen there, but when we get the rest of those dug up, I'm going to just take all of those into the lower pasture and put them on the flat ground just to try and, again, get some color in down there. But I think that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you for your patience. It's been a rocky couple of weeks, and the next couple of weeks are going to be just as crazy because Crow's wedding is in 2 weeks, and we are going guns blazing getting ready for that. So if I don't see too much of you in the next 2 weeks, I will be back before the wedding. We do have some things that we've got to do in the next week or so. But thanks for coming along, and I hope you'll come back and see what we get up to next.